Hi, this is Thomas with Ask Cozy Grammar, speaking to you from my cozy writing yurt where, as you can probably hear, it's raining. So we are going to enjoy today's session with the rain outside. Our first question comes from Natasha W. from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And her question is this: what are run on sentences and comma splices? Now, it's a really great question, Natasha, because it shows an understanding that these two things, run on sentences and comma splices, are interrelated, they're connected. So let's just dive right in and start with run on sentences. You may have heard, or you may think, that a run on sentence is simply a sentence that goes on and on and on and on. And of course, that's part of the idea. You can hear it in the term itself, run on sentence. It sounds like something that goes on and on and on. However, there is actually a very specific and grammatical definition for what a run on sentence actually is. Here is that definition. A run on sentence is a sentence in which two or more independent clauses are not properly joined. I'll say that again. A run on sentence is a sentence in which two or more independent clauses are not properly joined. Now, what's an independent clause, you may be wondering? Let me remind you if you've forgotten, or introduce it to you if it's a new term. Grammar is really about learning the language, or learning a language with which we can talk about the language we use every day. So an independent clause is simply a simple sentence. It's a sentence that can stand on its own. In more technical terms, it's a sentence that has a subject and a predicate. For example, it is raining, because in fact it is here raining outside my cozy writing yurt. Here we have a subject, it, and a predicate, is raining. It is raining. This is a simple sentence. Here's another simple sentence. The plants outside will be happy. Here we have a subject, the plants outside, and a predicate, will be happy. Here too we have a simple sentence, a sentence that can stand on its own. The plants will be happy. So far, so good. Now, when does a simple sentence become an independent clause? Well, it becomes an independent clause when we put them together into a larger sentence that has several parts to it. We sort of take those simple sentences and we combine them together. In that larger sentence, they become independent clauses. We call them independent clauses because they could still stand on their own independently. So suppose I wanted to put those two sentences together. I might say, it's raining outside. The plants will be happy. I could just smush those two sentences or independent clauses right up next to each other. Now we have a run-on sentence. Why? Because we have a sentence in which two independent clauses have not been properly joined. They've just been smushed up against each other, like maybe two pieces of bread for a sandwich, except there's nothing in between them. They just sort of mash together into a big mush. That's what a run-on sentence becomes. It becomes a bit mushy because it lacks clarity. It becomes confusing for a reader to know, or a listener for that matter, to know what are the parts and how are they working. So you might think, how can I fix the problem of this run-on sentence? Well, you might think we might need some punctuation, maybe a comma. So you could put a comma between them. Then you might write, it is raining, comma. The plants outside will be happy. Now that, if we read that sentence out loud, it sounds a little better because we've added a pause between those two parts, those two independent clauses. It is raining. The plants outside will be happy. However, there's still a problem. And the problem is this: a comma cannot be used to join two independent clauses. The commas aren't built that way. Instead, we need a comma and a conjunction, such as and. It is raining, comma, and the plants outside will be happy. Now we have a correct sentence, which is not a run-on sentence. Now it's become what is called a compound sentence. That simply means a sentence which has two or more independent clauses that are properly joined. You might think of it this way. If we think of those independent clauses as like the pieces of bread in a sandwich, we need something in between the sandwich, otherwise we don't have a sandwich. In this case, what we need between those two pieces of bread is a comma and a conjunction. Now, there's actually one other way we can join these two sentences, and that is to use a semicolon. If we wanted to join it that way, we would have the sentence, "It is raining, semicolon, the plants outside will be happy." Now, why would we want to use a semicolon instead of a comma and a conjunction? Well, one reason may be this. Perhaps we want to show that those two ideas, "it is raining" and "the plants outside will be happy," are closely related. They're closely connected. We can show that close connection by using a semicolon between those two parts, making it, bringing them literally closer together. If we want to show those ideas to be somewhat more separate, then we would use the comma and a conjunction. So you can compare how these two sound. "It is raining, semicolon, the plants outside will be happy." Or, "It is raining, comma, and the plants outside will be happy." It's a subtle difference, but it is a difference nonetheless. And of course, there's actually one more option, which is you can just leave those two sentences as simple sentences. "It is raining, period. The plants outside will be happy, period." That's also an option. That's if we want those two sentences to be further apart as independent ideas, independent simple sentences. So, Natasha, that gives us, I hope that gives you a sense for what a run-on sentence is, what a comma splice is, and how to correct these problems. And I'll add just one more thing, which is that when you learn how to join independent clauses correctly, you have gained a new tool to create sometimes very large sentences that are not, in fact, run-on sentences. And so here is a creative reading activity that you can try. The next time you're reading a story by an author that you like, pay attention and see if they ever use very long sentences. And then take a look. How many independent clauses does that sentence have? And how has that author joined those independent clauses? With a comma and a conjunction? What kinds of conjunctions? Does the author use semicolons? This will allow you to learn from your own favorite authors something about how to write long, non-run-on sentences. So, Natasha, I hope that answers your question. If you have any further questions, I know you're having trouble with your microphone, but you can just chat in the chat box if you have any further questions. I'll just give you a second to do that. Oh, wonderful. Natasha writes, "That was helpful. Thank you so much." Well, you're very, very welcome, Natasha. And if you have a question come up later on, feel free to send an email and we can continue the next session, or I can just respond to you via the email. Wonderful.